Come take a seat, it's Kels on the Couch, where bright minds meet and bold brands sprout. Stories unfold, the secrets commence. Strong PR, making magic make sense.
Hello world, it's Kelsey Roman here from Strong PR Marketing and Events, and we are back for episode 3 of Kels On The Couch, where we talk to industry professionals within the events, marketing and PR space, as well as strong PR personnel. And today I'm joined by one of my favorite people in the world. It is our head of videography and photography at Strong Media Productions, Keo Matseke. Hello Keo, how you doing? Yeah, I think you got to insert some clapping sounds when you edit these videos.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Kels. I am blessed and highly flavored. How are you doing?
You always know how to start it. I'm speechless. I'm very good, thanks, Kia. It's good to have you.
Thank you.
I think today I really want to talk about your journey and perseverance. In recent months, you've obviously encountered quite a few challenges that have really bled into in your personal life, and it's bled into work, and I do feel as if you're getting to a better place now, and you're looking more enthusiastic and happy to be back in the strong PR creative
100%.
space, and I think your journey has been one of real perseverance. Can you take us back to the beginning though, and share how you got into photography before we get to the meaty stuff? And remember, we got 15 minutes.
This is actually quite interesting.
Yes.
The reason I'm out here like hooing and harring is because it's like, wow.
Yeah.
I think at this point, I've been doing this for 8 years?
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah. So 8 years in total. Of the 8 years, 3 years I would say were unprofessionally, and the last 5 years was professionally.
Yeah.
You know.
But you've also modeled. You've also you've done some incredible campaigns with the likes of, was it Heineken or Castle Light? Castle Light. Sorry, I'm not a beer drinker. She drinks the Southern Comfort and Lime. But yeah, I mean that was a fabulous campaign. I saw the shots. I mean, you did a fabulous job.
Dude. The thing is, it's so crazy because I initially started behind the camera.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of that, right?
And what brought you in front of the lens?
So what I
now
had
you're playing both roles.
Dude. So what I had eventually realized, right, is I started behind the camera and I posted a lot of my work, and I wasn't necessarily building any traction, right?
Yeah.
And I had this friend of mine, who's an industry friend, and he eventually was like, dude, do you have an agent, bruh? And I was like, no, I don't actually. And he was like, dude, you need an agent, you know?
Wow.
So he decided to get me an agent. And then once I got an agent, I eventually bagged my first gig with MTN.
Okay.
And I was in front of the camera, right?
Wow.
And now all of a sudden I'm getting views. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm like, maybe I can then funnel the views from me being seen and use that to get my videos to be seen.
Yeah.
So then I started appearing in front of the camera.
Okay.
And I started using that to be like, all right, you see me? Now go look at this video I just made.
Yeah, look at what I can do now.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so I kind of used myself as a platform to get those views.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think just keeping in with your journey, I mean, you've, like mentioned, I mean, you've faced some significant challenges. And I would imagine that these are challenges that have shaped you and are shaping you. But how do you push through? How do you keep it together? I mean, it's a fast-paced environment we live in today. What gets you out the other side?
It's a very interesting question, Kels. And I say that only on the basis...
It's Kels on the Couch. Of course it would be an interesting question.
And I say this basically on the basis that, like, I've had to reestablish what my why was, right? Yeah. So a lot of people have their why be their family or be wanting nice things. Like, hey, I like that car, I want to work towards it. Or, hey, I like that house, I want to work towards it, or whatever. And I've sadly never been motivated by those kind of things.
Yeah.
as shallow as this might sound,
Well,
I've
maybe not
always,
sadly.
yeah, well, yeah, you know what I mean. And as shallow as this might sound, I've always been motivated by my own work.
Yeah.
So in the last 2 to 3 months, it's
Mm.
been very dark for me,
Yeah.
right? I'd say even maybe in the last 2 weeks, it's been extremely dark,
Is it
right?
really?
You know, contrary to popular belief.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
But, right, what I had done is in those darkest moments, I revisited a lot of the work that I've done in the past. Just watching my videos. Just watching, because I even like I've had a stint in the music space, right? Making music and whatever. And I'd listen to those songs and I'd watch my videos and I'd watch my ads and I would do those kind of things, right? And the motivation comes from the fact where I'm like, damn, I'm actually talented, you know? And I've actually always had this thing about me where I always say the day I just God decides to see me again, I want people to know me for my work.
Yeah.
I want people to remember me purely
Yeah.
for what I was able to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think I'm a very flawed human being in the sense that I'm not the perfect friend or the perfect colleague or the perfect employee
true
or
to all
whatever
of
the
us.
case is.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? But work is work, and I feel like I'm good at it.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
people should remember me purely just for
Well,
that.
we love what you do here at Strong PR.
Oh,
You know,
thank
you know, I always enjoy working with you. In fact,
Oh, of course.
we've done a few fun things. Obviously, I couldn't share them online. It is quite confidential, but
Yeah.
we've done some cool projects together. Actually,
Tons,
we've
bro.
done
Tons.
done cute little tidbits, and I think let's actually get into the meat of that. So I think let's get into some strong PR stuff now.
Mm.
Um, photography is all about visual communication.
Mm.
And we had Amy on last week, and you know she's in the design space, and she talks
Amazing
a
human
lot
being.
about I love Amy, but she's actually watching this today. But essentially, what she said, the crux of her whole discussion was design, and in fact, design is it's all about telling a story. It's about communicating a message, and staging a brand, and that's obviously what we do. I'm just opening my iPad here, and I want to know from you,
Yeah.
why is photography such a powerful tool in visual communication, especially on a corporate brand level? I mean, what does it tell our clients that we take good photos, and how do we communicate that to them, because you do take good shots?
You know, that's actually very interesting, right? Because obviously it's very profile dependent. I don't think it's a one size fits all kind of approach.
Yeah.
Um, so it's obviously dependent on what the client actually wants, right? And I think this is why I love photography and why I love videography, right?
Yeah.
Because these two serve very different purposes,
Yeah.
right? Where the one's motion picture and the one is a single frame,
Yeah.
right? With the single frame, as Amy had lovely, like, had put it in a very proper way last week, was that it's basically about having those moments where people are stuck on that infinite scroll,
Yeah.
but through that image are able to stop and be like, hold up, this is actually pretty dope.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that will always obviously be subjective. Some people like different things. Some people, but I believe that a good shot is a good shot,
Yeah.
irrespective of who thinks what.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for me, for example, I'm very, and because we've been, I'll, for lack of a better word, call it photography bros.
Yeah.
We both like portrait shots.
Yeah, yeah.
We both like faces. We both
Yeah.
like very intimate close-up
Yeah,
shots, and those are things
absolutely.
that speak to
Yeah.
me. So when I see those on social media, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With videography, it's the same thing. I like very in your face kind of
Yeah.
shots, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
moving tracking shots. So to answer the question, I think it's all profile dependent, based on the CI
Yeah.
of a company or a brand.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, dope is dope.
Yeah, and dope elevates brand messaging, I think, at the end of the day. And of course, in your experience, you have been doing this for a long time. What separates a good photo from one that truly elevates a client's message? Is there a definitive line between a good photo and a
this is gonna be a bit of a personal take, right?
Give it to us. That's what we're here for.
I genuinely think that for me personally, I think a good photo has a lot of contrast. So I don't like a one. What's the word I'm looking for? Like a plain photo, one with no depth, one with. It needs to have depth of field. So there needs to be a foreground, a background. There needs to be contrast, so shadows and light, color, those kind of things I think play very so much into like what a good photo looks like. Because if it's flat, then it won't be a good photo in my experience.
Yeah.
You know, so I think for me a good photo is basically just one that has depth.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. And of course, you go to great lengths, as do many of our photography suppliers, you know, because we don't only work with you when we are on site, you're coordinating all
I
of
can
the
only do
photography,
so
and
much.
you can only do so much, so we've got to bring in other people.
100%.
But of course, what does the perfect shot really mean to you? I mean, how do you know that you've captured a perfect shot?
It needs to move me. So when I say move me, I need to be able to look at it myself and be like, whoa,
So
this
profound.
is it. You know what I mean? And you get shots like that. Like with me, I'm very critical of myself, and I am my biggest critic. I'm able to tell myself, Keo, that ain't it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And in the same breath, I'm able to be like, dude, how did you even do that?
Yeah.
Like, where did you get that? Because the things at the end of the day, the truth of the matter is with photos and videos, it's all about timing.
Yeah.
There's just some moments that only happen once.
Yeah.
That you'll only get once.
Yeah.
You know, and I think there's a perfect synergy between a moment and an angle.
Yeah.
That you're able to like then merge those together, and then you get that shot in your
The synergy.
Like,
yeah.
like, damn, I might have a future.
One day when I'm big.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, we're also both Audi bros.
Audi bros.
And, you know, I take a lot of pictures of my car.
Mm.
I don't know why I do. But of course, there's always going to be a vision when you're shooting something. I mean, whether it's with your iPhone or whether it's with, you know, some of the awesome equipment you guys work with. But how do you align your creative vision with the client's brand or message? What's a tool for you to go, okay, I see the story that they're trying to tell. How can I align my work to fit that scope? Because ultimately that's who we're trying to impress, right?
Bills.
Yeah, exactly. Say it again louder.
100%. Like, what do you want me to change? I'll change it.
Yeah.
And I think Amy put it very nicely, is that you get, so as a creative, right, you have this, I'll call it creative integrity, where you're like, everything of mine needs to be a certain way, and I need to like it for it to be, you know what I mean? But the truth of the matter is, I need to like it, but the client needs to like it more. You know what I mean? And I think in one of the podcasts I shot last week, the lady put it very beautifully, where she was like, you need to be passionate in what you do, but you need to also be passionate with what the client wants.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it meets, because you need to let go of your idea of what it should look like. So my tools usually is, firstly, my bosses, my overlords, they'll tell me, okay, Kira, change that, move this here. You know what I mean? And I'm able to then realign that
with the vision.
Yeah, 100%. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, like I had mentioned in my previous answer, that I think the CI works very nicely as well, because then that'll tell you, okay, this is the way, for example, VW would want it, or how Audi would want it, or how Castle Light would want it, or whatever the case is. You know what I mean? And then you simply then just tailor it according to what they've already posted.
Yeah.
You know, so reference also works a lot for me.
Yeah.
Where
Absolutely.
I'm like, okay, this is what you guys have worked on prior. So this is, you know what I mean?
This is the expectation.
100%. But I still got to give you that
little bit of sizzle.
You know what I'm saying? That's sauce.
A little bit of okay, a little bit of okay Keo.
100%. You know what I mean? Otherwise, why am I even there?
Yeah, and I think essentially what we do in that storytelling is there's a lot of passion and there's a lot of care for our craft, and photography isn't just something that I mean I funnily enough I do struggle with taking photos. I've only just started getting better, but that's because I watch you guys work and I see what Amy and Adrian, who'll be on soon. I see what they kind of go through to post photography. Now it's in the editing suite, and I look at my photos and I go, oh, I could not even share these will never see the light of day. But essentially I think the message we're trying to send is that we don't just create stories, we tell them the way the client envisions, and I think talking about envisioning things, I want to just strip it back to you. Balance, work life. In fact, I ask all of the guests, the last two guests, I've asked them this, and because it's very interesting for me, because I'm someone who struggles with a little bit of work-life balance, and I want to know, what does balance look like for you, and how do you maintain it in what's already quite a creative and, dare I say it, fast-paced environment?
Kelsey, you're crazy with the questions.
Well, girl.
and I say this only because, like, in recent events, because of the state of my personal life, my definition of stability has changed quite a bit, right? So my work-life balance used to, I'll say, look like going to work, I do what I need to do. After work, I come home, spend time with family, and do that Monday to Friday, and then weekends it's family, Yeah. Now obviously with everything that's happened, it's changed a little bit. So now it's, for example, work, and then I'd go to gym, and then I'd go home. But now, because I'm currently in a position where I live by myself, now I need to cook.
Yeah.
Now I need to clean. Now I need to, like, wash stuff. You know what I mean?
So not in your brand, CI.
So you know what I mean? So I'm in a very transitional period.
Yeah,
is what I'll call it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where I'm basically doing all these things, and I'm basically doing. That's pretty much what my work-life balance looks like. So I'm still trying to find my footing, but if I must be honest, I'm at this point, I'm even taking work home, dude.
Yeah.
I even work from home now.
Yeah.
Like, after work, when this is all said and done, I still go home.
Yeah, I also take work home.
Yeah, dude.
I end up taking work home, but I don't mind, because it becomes a passion project, and I suppose I'm in a similar boat. I also live, I don't live by myself, but I sort of live for myself, and so work is my life, and I don't have much sociability outside of work, so I get my social fix from work, and which probably isn't the healthiest thing, but I'm in a similar boat where I need to find a little bit of balance, but I think, in closing, and it's been great to have you on, so thank you for being here.
Thank you, it's always a pleasure.
You are someone who has been in the thick of a struggle recently, and of course somehow you've allowed it to try, or you've at least tried to let it impact your work as little as possible. What would you say to someone who is in the thick of a struggle, trying to make their creative dreams happen?
This is going to sound very shallow. I thought it was very shallow when I heard it.
It's LinkedIn, babes.
But keep going.
Keep going.
You hear it all the time. It's sometimes when you're going through a lot, you tend to want to hear some Plato level kind of philosophical saying that will kind of shift your mindset or gear it in a different way or whatever. But the truth of the matter, just those two words, keep going, is the best way you can put it, because life is seasonal. And I was teaching my nephew last week actually that it's autumn now. It's gonna be winter. The trees die.
Right, it's
But I mean,
winter.
in 3
Maybe.
to 6 months after that, the leaves are back.
Yeah.
The trees are alive.
Yeah.
And imagine if the trees had emotions that'd be like, oh, this is the worst time of my life.
Yeah.
But they don't have that problem.
Powerful.
So
Yeah.
the fact that the leaves do come back, I think, speaks volumes to the fact that at some point we're going to bloom.
Yeah.
And we're going to grow. And, you know, it's very sad that we don't grow from happy experiences, that we don't learn from being happy, which I think kind of sucks. But I don't make the rules. But pain is a crucible and is a learning tool and a way to basically refine yourself as a person. So to anybody
to be
out
happy.
there who's going through a lot, all I have to say is just keep going. Like I can't. There's nothing poetic I can say that'll. I don't know.
That.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Just keep going because seasons do change, and the biggest thing apart from that, if I had to give you another piece of advice, is literally just be able to redirect or to adjust.
And journeys make stories.
You know what I'm
And
saying?
stories are worth telling.
And you know, it's funny you say that, right? Because I'm a very like visual guy. I like movies and whatever, right? So it's like the best movies come from hard stories.
Yeah.
The best movies come from twists and turns and strife and pain, and you know what I'm saying? A movie's not interesting if you know how it's gonna end. You know what I mean? Obviously we want to, well, obviously life must be nice at the end. It has to be. Otherwise it's not the end.
Yeah.
But how do we get there? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what makes it interesting.
And yeah, I think that's quite profound. And thank you for sharing that with us. And I think that also concludes this week's episode of Kels on the Couch, episode 3, with the fabulous Keo Matseke. OK Keo on Instagram, if you want to give him a follow. Follow us at GetStrongPR. We are Strong PR Marketing Events, a creative, multifaceted events and marketing agency that are here for all of your eventing needs. I'm Kelsey Romand from Strong PR Marketing and Events, and I look forward to seeing you next week with a very new and exciting guest. I look forward to seeing you then. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Strong PR, making magic make sense.